Welcome behind the scenes, everybody.
This is like wasted time, though. No one wants to listen to wasted time. Dead
That's
time.
that's kind of what scissors
Some
are
people
for.
do.
Scissors.
Cut, cut, cut.
Freaking you over there using tools and shit, man. I don't use tools. I
How do
actually.
you edit your video?
Hey, man, I use keystrokes. Fuck tools.
Keystrokes.
I
Yeah.
I print out the film and then I take the film and I cut it and I tape together what I don't want, or I tape together the ends after I remove what I don't want.
Job.
You can't.
Job.
You can't do it physically like that. You have to
That's how it works,
use.
dude. You get it printed, you take it over to
No. You gotta use
Target or
keystrokes.
whoever, get it printed out,
No, that's
snip, snip.
it's like you're from like the 1920s, man. You got to use keystrokes and you got to use good mouse movement, whatever the hell you want to call that. Good in tracking, you know?
Good with their hands, huh, Stiller?
Yeah, good with their hands. And
You
I
know quite
think
a bit of that about that,
So,
wouldn't you?
yeah,
so
that's so
very
that's the
talented.
that's
Very
the
talented.
perfect chance to get out of that conversation
Guess you're on the extreme end of
and move
homosexuality.
into the introduction for the whatever episode of a cast on Titan that this is because I forgot the number.
I think it's
Stiller, I
59.
think you're getting Alzheimer's.
I might be.
You're just
Yeah.
It's
that old.
because I don't remember a lot of things from the podcast that we've done so far.
Hey, I'm not the only one.
Yeah, because
Mister, I remember every single little detail that ever happened ever.
well, I mean, if you want me to quote shit from the manga, I can do really well with that. But you
But you
ask
don't
me,
know what the Japanese translation of Annie Fall is, huh?
yeah, that's true enough, man.
What is it?
I don't know. I,
Ani. Boku desu.
There we go.
woku des.
Fuck
Boku desu.
So anyway, since the last podcast, we've started doing this thing where every podcast we introduce ourselves to the listeners in case this is their first podcast, right? Because people are still discovering the podcast.
Or if
Are
they're
they?
just really bad at remembering voices.
Could be, because I'm sure that happens too.
It happens to
And
me.
because people still say, oh, I heard there's a podcast. Oh, I heard something, something. And if this is the first one, because they don't want to hear older podcasts where we talked about recaps and
Oh
things of
god.
that
Don't bring
nature,
back the memories.
flashbacks. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves, like we said we were going to. Scotty, go ahead and introduce yourself first.
Hey, I'm Scott. I'm from the subreddit ScottyV23, and I like Connie.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Zach, what about you?
Bitch, you're not my mom, I'm Zach.
Okay, interesting. And I
You
am.
can find me. Damn it, are we doing this or
You
no?
can find me on Tumblr if you like. Where you fucking going with that?
No, you can find me on Reddit at Darth Mewtwo. Do not go to Tumblr Darth Mewtwo because that is some weird shit. And it
and
is not me.
and now
Oh,
everyone listening to this is going to go and look at that. Good
Please don't.
job.
It is
no, I am.
extremely not safe for work from the one time I accidentally glanced at it.
At least you gave a disclaimer. That's nice. So I am Stiller or Stiller3 from the subreddit, and I am an Annie fan. I am here to represent Team Annie as always.
Boo, boo.
Boo.
Hiss.
Boo and hisses. You know what? It's fine though because I'm totally fine over here, all by my lonesome.
You're not
And
by
I'm
yourself.
Sarah. I like Levi. Hi.
And Sarah's not here today. She is out for personal matters. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully she'll be back with us next month.
obviously you notice the lack of the giggle and
Femininity.
yeah, because man, are we lacking that.
Stiller's here, so it's not, completely gone. But
Oh,
Oh.
look at you, handing them out today, aren't you? All
God,
right. So now that we've addressed that, we should also mention by now you should be aware that we're covering manga spoilers. If this is actually your first podcast, you need to be aware that we're not talking about anything except for the newest chapter.
welcome though.
Unless we really run out of time.
Yeah, welcome though. You can stop this. You can stop listening to this and go back and watch
Welcome
the
to our
old ones.
channel. See ya.
That's about.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
That's right. That's right. That's about right.
Roll
I
credits.
should make that the official outro because that actually works so well that one time. All right, so now we actually should move into our next segment where we give our impressions of what we felt in this chapter.
Who wants to? I guess I'll start.
Yeah, I guess we'll set up that rotation.
I really like this chapter a lot. I thought it offered a lot. It progressed. They finally found the area where the military police, the interior brigade compound, where they're gonna breach it essentially, and we don't know what's in there. We don't know, what they exactly went there for. But at least, finally they're bringing the fight to them instead of being hunted. So it's a
So what
good
you're
change.
saying is Sie sind das Essen und wir sind der Jäger?
Basically. Um, and I like the character development of Jean and Armin and such. So yeah, good chapter overall.
Zach?
Um, yeah, it was good. Some good developments. We got the return of Hitch the Bitch and Marlo,
Mm.
which I believe I predicted 2 or 3 chapters ago, actually.
Fuck if I remember.
um, we got to see John snap, Armin snap, Mikasa not quite snap, Levi
You mean
shirtless.
Mikasa not do a fucking thing?
Well, she kind of ninja'd
She
and
like
threatened to slice
handed a
her neck.
gun off to somebody and was gone for the entire chapter.
Speaking of ninja, how about that Connie, huh? With
That
arms
Yeah,
up?
was.
with the ghillie suit
If
hat.
you know what, if
Crap.
I was giving Mikasa shit for not doing anything, I should give Connie shit too for not doing
Dude,
anything.
Connie
Yeah, at least
made it.
at
He
least
made
Mikasa comforted Armin. Connie sat there
Connie sat
with sticks in his
yeah,
ears.
he went in a bush somewhere and he made like a ghillie suit out of like
it.
leaves and shit that he found on the ground.
Dude, Connie's
What is he
literally like
doing with his
he's
time?
he's Bear Grylls. He's literally like, how could you possibly
So what you're
make
saying is your favorite character likes to drink his own piss.
I
nah?
wish he would actually be Bear Grylls and go fuck off on his own while the rest of us have our plot and cake and eat it too.
Dude, Connie is the plot humor that we need.
Is he
He,
really though?
he is.
Are
He's
you
gonna
sure it's just not
watch.
his Titan mom
I can't wait. Connie's gonna play such a huge role. Just
being
kidding.
eaten?
Could you imagine?
What
No,
kind of role could he possibly play?
Character
no.
development for Sasha once Connie gets brutally
He
eaten.
could actually play a role. I don't know. I like the Sasha Connie bits.
We learned something about
OTP.
Sasha in this chapter. We learned that Sasha knows a little bit about stitching people up. What did we learn about Connie in this chapter? He knows how to make a hat.
No, he doesn't. He's a master of disguise. That's what
He
we
knows how
learned.
to cover up his baldness.
If he was a master of disguise, um, damn it, what's your name, Scotty?
I'm
We
Scott.
would
Thank you.
have noticed him in the bush.
What? It's because it was literally a picture. What do you want to do? Become the bush? Like I don't understand.
Yes, that's what would happen if he was a master of
That's the worst
disguise.
we
insult
should
of all time. I don't
we
even understand.
we should have just seen like a bush, like shrubbery, and then see two like little eyes poking out of it with a gun poking out of the bush and like the little hat on top of it.
Literally, that's what you want, Zach. That's what you wanted, huh?
That's what I
No,
wanted.
that's what Stiller wanted.
That's totally what I wanted.
That's what it looked like to the enemy, but we, as the viewer, we could just see him in all his glory.
Yeah, we get to see
Oh, so
through
it's
the
like
disguise.
TF2 where you can actually see the spy.
There we go. You got it.
A reference I hope more than 3 people got.
It's
Shitty game.
TF fucking 2.
Horrible game.
Everyone's
Any
gonna get it,
anyway,
except
We
for me
hope.
3 months ago.
moving on.
Moving on. My impressions should be fairly obvious. I am hyped.
And pissed that there's no Annie.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of equalized between the disappointment of being teased so badly that she's gonna return soon, but at the same time,
Being
man,
so bad that she's gonna return soon.
Marlo and Hitch are in this chapter. She's gonna return soon. How awesome is that? So it's kind of a dual-edged thing where I'm super psyched, but I'm also like, I don't know, desperate, getting antsy, waiting
You know,
for it.
I saw someone mention this on the subreddit the other day, and it just really surprised me. Apparently, it's been 2 years since Annie was last in the manga.
Tell me about it. You think like these last 2 years have been a cakewalk for me?
There's no way. Is that true? 2 years?
Apparently, and I know it's been a little over a year since Reiner and Berthold were revealed.
Well, you think about it.
What the fuck have we been doing for the past 12 months,
Well,
guys?
the anime came out in 2013, right? April
Yeah, it did.
2013. So the manga's only been out for however long before that, right?
That's true.
So the time seemed to add up. And I can vouch for how hard it's been to not have her for 2 years in the manga.
It hasn't been too hard.
It's been super hard. You
You know
don't
what
even
else is
know.
hard? You know what
Oh, I
else is
don't.
hard, Stiller?
What's that?
The crystal
The
she's
crystal
trapped.
she's in. Yeah, okay.
There we go.
Obviously.
You should have said it before
Fucking
him, though.
bravo for you.
But
You know, I
But
could have gone the completely obvious yet utterly different route there. You should be thanking me.
yeah, but if you had gone the other route, I would have cut it.
I was about to say that would have been cut. And
Censorship!
That's right. Censorship exists. You should be
Uh,
aware. But hey, that's not all that I got from this chapter. This was actually one of the chapters I've really liked in the last however many months now.
same.
Because I know we talked about this like the last podcast or the one before, but
Both.
this chapter was one that I could really get behind just because I see the plot starting to move a little bit. The plot has started to move, and like Scotty said, the development for Jean and the development for Armin was pretty nice. I like seeing Armin's slow. I don't know if I want
Descent
to
into
call it.
madness.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's his descent into madness, and John's weird.
If you want to talk about
Descent into
madness,
madness.
His
John's who you want to go with.
yeah, Jean's weird thing at the end of the chapter. I don't know what you want to call that.
Descent into madness.
Yeah, but I don't want to call it that because we called it that for Armin. We need to be.
Murderous rampage.
I don't think Armin, when you characterize him as his madness, Armin's, I don't think so. I don't think he's mad. I
You
think what
say
he's,
that, but we have an established prediction going on here, stemming back to chapter
yeah, I'm aware.
53-ish, whatever, where we're saying, oh man, Armin's starting to lose his faith in humanity. He's starting to lose his innocence. He's starting to lose his whatever you want to call it. He's starting to lose his will to not be a douchebag. Whatever you want to call it.
That doesn't make him mad though. I mean,
This is why it's a
his
descent into madness.
well,
Scott,
He's
you
getting
say Armin's not mad, but I need to remind you of one thing only to make you change your mind. Just kidding.
yeah. But he's being coached by Levi, and Levi is really sort of hammering home these points that Armin is really struggling to take in. The more time that Armin is involved in this, the
Worse it
more
gets,
the worse it gets, or the more
he loses.
savage he'll become, sort
two
of.
points on that though. One, I don't think that Isayama would write in two characters that are mad, and clearly Jean is going down that path. I mean, there's no way else to look at that. Besides, you could rationalize like Armin was just going through turmoil from killing a person when he really hadn't done that before, and yet, Jean, he's like literally just bonkers in this chapter. And I don't buy that BS. Like, oh, we're just testing the entire time. Like, sure he was, but in the same time,
I
that's
don't
not how
buy
you.
it. I don't
That's
buy
not.
it, but
That's not how
sure
you
I
he
don't buy it, but he
was.
was still doing it.
No, like I don't buy that. That's the end all be all to that section. Like that's the story. Like, oh, I was just testing you, huh? That's why it was insane. Like I don't know.
But
And
that development is one that we could have expected coming out of the last chapter. Like we kind of saw at the end of that chapter where we got the cliffhanger for Jean's death. We kind of knew that he was going to be shaken by that. Like
yeah,
you
He
don't
did.
come out of that situation and not be shaken at least a little bit.
and my second point was that Armin, like we've previously said, has been mirrored by Erwin, and we already predicted that he is probably going to follow that path when he progresses. And I feel like this is just the normal progression towards that path because you feel like, all right, here we go with him realizing that humans are just as much of a threat as the Titans are,
And then
even
he
maybe
kills him.
more so. And that's the same thing that Erwin knew. And that's the same thing, like Erwin, remember, he's like, who can you trust? Like, who's the real enemy? When he whispered that in everyone's ear.
Mm.
Erwin already knew from a very early point that the enemy was probably not the Titans, like the major enemy. So Armin's gonna realize that, and he's probably gonna fall down that same pathway to eventually ending up somewhere near where Erwin is.
Yeah,
So
Yep.
I'm glad you mentioned Erwin because I guess we're selling it a little too hard that he's actually going insane. Because when we say descent into madness, like him being mirrored by Erwin, as you would put it, is not as intense as we play it off to be. Like he'll become Erwin's kind of character eventually, but he'll be so far away from where he originally started that like you would have never predicted originally that he would end up in this position.
Didn't Isayama say at one point that Armin and Eren are most likely not going to be friends anymore at the end of the story?
He said it was possible, not that it was like probable. He said that Armin was going to go through some changes and that he won't be the same character that you're familiar with. That he might be contrary to Eren, let's say. You know, depending on wherever the hell we're at with the story at that point.
But then again, I hold those statements with a grain of salt though, because we've seen what happened with Sasha. Wasn't she supposed to be killed off early, and then
Well, I mean,
eventually?
he talked about changing the
Still
ending
praying
too.
every chapter.
So,
Yeah,
so you never know. You
who
know, he says
knows?
that about Armin, but you don't know.
I mean, I guess
You
if
know.
Marco is still alive.
Fuck
Oh
you.
God, Marcos, he's always alive. He's the dark
He's
horse of the
dead.
story.
I,
He had an
I'm,
MP bullet go through his fucking head.
you know what? I'm glad that you finally admitted to that last
I admitted this a
podcast.
month ago. Okay, I
But
shouldn't
it's
say it.
still a good running joke. I like it. I like it a lot.
I was
He's
going through your
alive.
comments today, and I saw you mention something about Marco, and I was about to jump into it, even though it was a week old comment.
Yeah, man. People like the good thing about that thread was the OP asked like what the subreddit's opinion of that conspiracy was, and to my knowledge, basically everyone that responded to it was like, "No, he's dead. No, he's actually dead." so
Yeah, there's no way.
so I think it's good to see that we're kind of moving on from that because I'm kind of tired of that theory.
I I'm amazed I missed that thread, and I'm kind of disappointed because I would have loved to comment on that.
What would you have said? Would you have not? Would you have disagreed? Would you have been the only person to be like, no, I think he's still alive?
No, I would have said Kenny.
Mm,
Okay, that's
no,
interesting.
okay.
I'm actually curious to see if that ever gets explained. Like, I would actually like to see that become true because I actually kind of like that theory that the Central MPs have been actually kind of in the shadows following the plot the whole time, just we're unaware of it.
Right.
They've been cleaning up the messes and they've been performing some of the actions that we've had mysteries about and been trying to pin on some of the characters we actually know. Like maybe the CMPs were the ones who killed Sonny and Bean. Maybe it wasn't Annie.
I've seen that being tossed around lately, actually.
Maybe it was the
That,
CMPs who killed Marco. Maybe it was the CMPs who were involved with whatever other mystery you want to associate them with. You
Maybe the
know,
CMPs sent Reiner and Berthold to the walls.
you get to that mark though, and you start getting a little far fetched. Like I don't know about going that far.
the
Still,
CMP
it's
and
theory
monkey trouble.
crafting. Far-fetched is not a word in the dictionary.
It's true. That's why I stopped theory crafting because it gets out there sometimes, you know.
Yeah, it's a thing. But yeah, I really wonder how far, like, it's so interesting to think about the CMPs and like how involved they are with all of the adventures and mishaps that have gone through the story. Like, I don't think they want to kill the Titans necessarily. Because if you think about how their technology has advanced, like they specifically targeted humans. Now think about if they spent all of their time focusing solely on how to defeat Titans and the gear they could have come up with that could have been so much better used.
We
So
wouldn't have had a conflict in this show. It would have just been a
well,
straight
We
political
wouldn't have
drama.
had a show because they would have already beaten the Titans.
well
Yeah.
that's the point though. Just like, like so clearly the CMPs or the internal unit involving them, the MPs, um they're clearly, crowd control essentially with the Titans. They want them to stay around for crowd control. They want, oh, everyone has to stay within the walls. Everyone has to be like, archaic and medieval, now live in the world of technology. Because if you do that, then they're gonna get out there. We're not gonna be able to control you anymore. So here these people are. But it really makes you think like, how far did the rabbit hole go? Like, is it just, oh, they conveniently found this area and that's where they made shelter and then they're like, oh well, this is really convenient now that the Titans are here, now we can control the population? Or did they make the Titans and then preemptively make the wall to make all this happen? I mean,
Who knows, man? It could be.
I know.
But one of the running themes we've had for a while now is talking about the corruption of power and the corruption of humanity through that power. And I
Yeah.
think that's definitely what the CMPs are about. They're not about killing the Titans, they're about controlling people. Even they're controlling their own military police troops.
Yeah, it's
Because
true.
we got the development from this chapter that Nile, the the I don't know what his actual title is. He's the
The
chief,
leader.
the big chief of
It's probably
of the
Commander.
probably
Give him
commander of the
Irwin.
military police. And he's like, I have no idea what the fuck those guys are doing.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting in the Crunchyroll translation that he said that they actually had shotguns. That the
Huh.
CMPs actually had developed shotguns that they used. Like, I don't think we saw any.
I don't think so. Yeah.
I
but
guess that's what
apparently
he's calling it.
that tech
I don't
exists. I
know.
guess maybe shotguns haven't actually been invented yet, and he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Maybe.
Advanced vertical maneuvering equipment, shotguns and all. So it makes it seem like shotguns are an existing technology that were just
Haven't
slapped
seen
onto
yet,
the
I guess.
advanced 3D MG or something.
And it
What
was
about
also
that?
interesting to see how he addressed the question we had last podcast about the effectiveness of the new technology on Titans, and he kind of threw it out. He kind of said, "Yeah, it wouldn't be that effective."
It
So,
seems useless against Titans.
so it was interesting to see him address that. Nile has been really good at addressing some of the lesser questions we have about the MPs without actually giving us anything useful.
Yep.
That's just Attack on Titan for you.
Yeah, I really like Nile though. Nile's actually one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, steal your lady. Um, I'm
Speaking of which,
damn it.
by the end of this chapter, since obviously I'm heavy on the speculation about Annie's return, I have been for forever. This isn't actually new. It's just having this chapter actually feed me a little bit has got me a little bit more hype about this. But looking at that castle at the end of the chapter, is that a location you could actually see her crystal being at? Like what?
No, because the Survey Corps has the crystal, I think.
That was at the end of the anime though. How much
True.
time has passed since then?
Not only that, but the survey corps is not even a thing anymore. Like
They're
they're
really not.
disbanded.
They've been
So
nearly wiped out. They're nearly extinct.
Just looking at that castle, it looks a lot to me like the old Survey Corps base that Petra and friends had to clean.
I'm sure they all do though. Like when you're looking
True.
at the manga, I'm pretty sure everything outside of the humanity's walls look like Castle Utgard.
yeah.
So it's kind of hard to say. But I'm not like would that be a place you would put Annie's crystal? Because I don't know.
Well,
Well,
apparently they
well,
put Aaron in Historia, so maybe.
You,
it would be a horrible location just for the fact that there's no reinforcement around there. So if you're out, like you're gone. Like
the
there's no
other
stopping.
question to that is that if it's actually outside the walls or if it's inside, like Walsina, and it's just in a forest type area.
I think it's inside the walls.
Yeah,
I
why the hell would they put the base of the most important people in the government
Well,
in the most
because
dangerous place on the planet?
if she actually was being held by the Survey Corps at one point, they might have had her held at one of their forward advancing stations.
I think they said that they just kept her in a cave near Walsina.
that was before then.
Now that I think about it, that actually lines up with the miner's story.
In a cave somewhere, so obviously we have to be going underground. Looking at that castle, I'm just not sure. Like I'm skeptical.
Basement.
I'm having like, you know, I hope she's in there, but I don't want to get my hopes up too high and it turn out to
You
not
know,
be true.
Stiller, here's something that might comfort you. Um, Aaron had to sleep in the basement because if he tightened out in his sleep, he could be contained there. So it's not too far of a stretch to say that this garrison really could have a basement with a special chamber for a sleeping beauty.
Well, she was in her own little cave, so to speak, so I really don't think they would be worried about her transforming from inside her own crystal anyway.
Yeah,
We've already seen it. The CMPs know a hell of a lot more than we do.
That's true.
It's not a stretch to say they know what she's up to and how to get her out.
I guess that is true, considering the theories about the king being a shifter and all the nonsense we have going on still with Rod Rice and all that nonsense about, oh, we're going to feed Aaron to a shifter, and they know some things.
I've seen people saying that we're going to feed Aaron to Historia.
Oh,
yeah.
man, that's what I
Pretty sure
mean
that's
right
not how
there.
it works, guys.
That's exactly what I mean when I say we get out there sometimes when we talk about theory crafting. And
Well,
Damn,
like
we got so.
there's still the group out there who's saying that Aaron's going to eat Annie
I
and gain
that's
her
not
power.
that's
That
not happening.
seems like it would be a good character development for him. And God
Honestly,
knows he has precious few of those already.
that's how you do it.
You know, I really can't deny that he would gain a lot of character development from having to force himself to do that.
Because
But
he'd absorb her character into him or something, Stiller.
well, no, it's because he had to force himself again to do something that he didn't think he was
I was
capable
gonna
of.
say there's nothing to absorb.
So my hesitation with that theory is to say that Aaron probably could not bring himself to do that. I really don't think he could eat
But then
Annie
he's
like
got
that.
Armin whispering in his ear, "Come on, do it for the good of humanity, guys."
Just kidding.
Yeah,
Um num 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 num.
yeah, at that point we stop listening to Armin.
It's like, all right, I don't think Armin's
I
saying
mean,
anything.
Armin,
this,
Let's just
shut up,
yeah,
sit down,
after
take your medicine. We'll talk to you in a week.
right after he had to kill that girl, he kind of went nuts. We need to give him time to calm down because he's talking about eating people who could be super useful to us.
Even though they just tried to kill us last month.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been like a month. It's been longer than
I
that.
think I read it's only been a month since the Reiner Bertolt thing.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Man, that's pretty kind of fast. Because, well, I mean, I was thinking like having Levi be the coach who's helping keep this group alive because they wouldn't have the experience to survive out in the world like that on their own. I would have thought more time would have passed in that since they're trying to lay low and they're trying to conduct these secret missions and they're trying to do all this. I would have thought that would have
Well,
taken some time and they wouldn't be sort
I
of.
suppose the that timeline was when it was talking about the experiments that Hanji was doing, so it might have been longer since then.
Yeah, not only that, but sort of like the whole end of the anime where Castle Utgard takes place roughly at the same time as Annie's fight in Stohas. Sometimes the timeline gets a little confusing.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Speaking of Stohas, I want to go back to the thing I've been trying to bring up this whole damn time. Fuck
Go,
you, still
go
forgetting
for
what's
it.
off track.
This is
Anyways,
perfect time.
um,
Go
what do
for
you
it, man.
guys think of our new friend Bertholt in a bow tie?
I thought it was Marco in a bow tie.
It looks like Bert
Honestly,
to me. I don't see the Marco.
You know what? I hope it is Berthold because that opens a new theory about getting Annie out.
Yeah,
God,
he's tall. He's sweating. He's
I
Man,
don't
look,
know.
man, you gotta look out for that shit. Any guy who's tall and sweats
Yep, yep,
is
there he is.
and
possibly
looks like him.
Berthold. A tall, black-haired guy who sweats. Man, we're really narrowing the field here, aren't we?
Nope, not really. Speaking of which, though,
You might start to get somewhere if you notice the freckles.
we
I don't see any.
completely skipped
Wait,
over
wait,
the
wait. Are you
beginning.
saying Marco's
I
alive,
hate you so
Stiller?
much.
Are you saying
Saying a
Marco's
horrible
alive?
person.
I'm
No,
sorry, Scott. I couldn't let that go by.
I'm saying that we could feed the theories a little bit if we want to.
Sorry, Scott. What were you gonna say?
No, no, I'm completely done. No, I'm just kidding.
There are no fucking
we
freckles, Stiller. I just checked. Sorry, go on.
we forgot to mention at the beginning, which isn't super important, but it's interesting how Chief Duck wanted to like bury the story and make it so like there was no mention in the report that was going out like to the public about the new gear or that there was like a different section of the military police that was involved,
Mm,
which was pretty cool. Like I mean, we already knew that they were trying to subvert like the truth in a sense and make sure that nobody knew about the technology and such. But just to see it so like out there, and
yeah,
you know,
let's
It
continue
seemed
to show off that military corruption by
it seemed
showing
to
that
be
even
more
within
like
their own ranks, they don't
saying,
know
"Wait till we
things.
know the whole
yeah,
story."
Yeah, good old Nile.
Nile man. Are we
Marlo
Um,
and
almost chat?
Hitch. What did you
Oh yeah,
guys think about some of the dialogue that Marlo and Hitch were saying?
I liked it a lot. I mean Marlowe. Either he is a really outstanding liar, or
he's
he
not.
actually believes it. Like I tend to believe that the show's now gonna make him like the best liar of all time, because he
No
would have
way.
to pull that off. But I'm pretty worried about Hitch, because
His whole shtick is, "I want to help stop the corruption." So
His whole stitch is the moment with Annie where she basically pushed him along his course in life. There was that thread recently talking about Marlowe where I was like, you know what? She's kind of the reason that Marlowe is like he is now because, in my estimation, he either had one of two paths before him, which was he was either going to try and fight and die trying to fight the corruption like Aaron, or he was going to give in to the corruption and become the most corrupt motherfucker ever. And it seems like he's going for the former.
oh yeah, well it would seem that way. And about Hitch, like I just think I can totally see in the upcoming chapters, there's a moment where Hitch either turns on them, it makes life really hard for them,
Hmm.
or, just completely leaves them and like tells about their plan. Because
what
her
if?
like,
name rhymes with bitch for a reason. Are we
yeah,
really
she's
arguing about this?
Well,
oh
what
yeah,
if Hitch is tagging along with them, and she's like, "I know something about something that you need, and I won't help you unless you get Annie out of that crystal."
no, that is okay, Stiller. Okay,
Bad, bad
these
Stiller.
these pushes are They're unwarranted
I'm
still.
pushing pretty hard, man. I can tie some shit together to make some theories if I want to.
That was some pretty funny comic relief though. When Hitch was like,
You horse
oh,
face freak.
no, when Hitch was just
Well, that
like,
Uh,
too.
oh, I knew you wanted me on your team, Marlo, or whatever, and then Marlo was like, yeah, I don't want you here either. And she's like, oh yeah. She was just so denied in the chapter. I liked that.
But she was, but didn't she say that makes two of us?
No,
I
let's see.
I think he said that. I think
Oh,
Marlo said
okay.
something like that, but I know she got denied.
Hmm.
Because
She said, "Is that so? Glad to hear it."
Glad to hear it. That's what it was. I knew it was something like
Which
that.
is probably sarcastic given the look on her face.
Yeah,
yeah,
she was able to deal with that stuff pretty well, I
If you
think.
guys want to talk about comic relief, here's Armin. Just stay silent, okay?
Whatever. We comic relief. We already talked about Connie in this chapter.
Hey!
Connie, there we go.
Look, it's Connie.
He makes the chapter.
Oh God, he destroys the chapter.
Excellent chapter because of Connie's
Panel right next to that actually reminds me of something I wanted to ask about, although
ask
it doesn't
away.
really matter. I just made a note here that Levi specifically mentions that they have spare boots for Marlo and Hitch, and it's like, why the fuck do you need spare boots? Are they different style or
Why the
something?
hell do you think? You don't want to make people walk around barefoot. Do you have a soul?
Well, I mean, they've got the Survey Corps boots. Won't
They
those
took
work? They're all
oh
military boots.
um I don't know.
Whatever, man. You got to make sure the freaking captives you have boots because you don't want to be a jerk.
It's
It's
true.
Levi. He doesn't really care.
He kind of cares.
Yeah, let's make this the point where we say, you know what? That time Levi gave boots to Marlo and Hitch. That shows what a caring character he
He is
is.
so nice. His
Such
character
a such
development,
a loving
such
character.
character
Hey, at least he let
development
him
in the
live.
bulk for Levi, giving those boosts to those poor souls.
Yeah, let's ignore the fact that he was telling Armin that he needs to accept that he's a cold, heartless bastard now.
I know that was so bad.
I
I feel
thought that
like
was more like he was saying, "It's done. You killed her. Get over it. You whiny little
no,
brat."
It's pretty
no,
much the same thing.
it was more than that though. I think because like Levi was definitely like laying it on hard. Like he's just like you're a bad person now. It's like whoa Jesus, like Levi, you fucking like you just called him. He's having a nervous breakdown. And you're like,
No,
hey,
he
Armin,
couldn't be a bad person because he did something to save Levi, which makes him a good person in Levi's eyes, right, Armin?
Well, this is one of those moments like we talked about before with Levi where we don't always like the things that he says, but
Like
I
beating the shit out of Astoria.
yeah, but I don't disagree with him.
I kind of disagree with him in this aspect though, because he literally like essentially when the army was like, you're a bad person now, get over it.
The way
It's
he's
like
saying it though, he's saying it to Armin so that he can try and help Armin get over it. That's one way of trying to help Armin.
that's like the least effective way though, or like
It's what he does though. That's how his
I
character
guess
operates.
he's just not good at it. I feel like
He's not a psychologist. I don't know what you
I
expect
feel
from
like
him.
Isayama's trying to make him come off as like harsh but insightful, but all it just comes off as like he's a horrible person. Like there's
I
no
don't see what you're talking about here. It seems to me like he's just being nice.
I don't see
I,
the
nice.
insightful
he's
bit.
saying, "Hey, your hands are already dirty. You you did it. It's done. Can't go back.
You
Live
paraphrase
with
that
it."
How
perfectly.
dare you
I
reference
agree.
you did the did? How dare you? I cannot
Reference
believe
what?
reference
He
the
did the did.
yeah.
I don't even know what that
Do
is.
you remember that? How long ago was it? A couple chapters back, the early translation of the chapter with Hanji trying to find information about the guy who was getting interrogated. And the early translation of it actually had Hanji saying to the guy who was standing in front of the door, "Why did he did?" Oh, it was so great.
uh,
So
speaking of
speaking
mistranslations,
speaking of Hanji,
damn it!
What's
God
Hanji
damn
doing?
it!
What do
Stellar every fucking time.
What?
you what do you what do you guys okay? What do
Just
you
a quick
what do you guys think Hanji's doing right now?
Uh, I
kidnapping
hope she's
Jews.
dead.
What do you mean you hope she's dead?
I
Fuck
don't
you.
like her. She's a horrible person.
Fuck
I'm just
you.
kidding.
I was about to
I
say you're not serious right now.
but clearly we can't put that in because in the background, Zach's going killing Jews.
I said kidnapping.
Oh,
She's kidnapping
I
Jews.
should have never brought up Nimdok. That was a terrible idea.
I was not actually that was not in my mind. No, I was talking about how 4chan always does the whole like overly Jewish thing for the whole uh for that whole merchant family. Like they say the guy's now Dima Reeves is now counting shekels in Sheol or whatever.
Oh
So
wow.
so hold on. We talked earlier about how the Servant Corps is nearly extinct. They've been routed out, so to speak, and they're low on numbers. They're not holding any positions really. So what we have is we have Levi's squad and we have Hanji's squad. Because what we're not seeing right now is
I
whatever the hell
honestly
Hanji is doing.
completely forgot that Hanji had a squad.
She
No,
actually
she
has
doesn't.
she has a team. Like
No,
Erwin
she doesn't.
No, she does.
They had their heads blown off.
Erwin had a commander, or no, what am I saying? Erwin made her commander and
She has
told her
Mobley.
to do
That's it.
things, like told
But
her to
he
basically hold the fort down.
he didn't.
Stiller. Her squad was Mobley, Nifa, Goggles, whatever, and KG.
Like
Three
she,
out of four are dead.
no, she must
Yeah,
have had more than that.
I'm
No,
pretty
it's
sure she didn't.
explicitly stated that that was her squad in the Reiner and Berthold
That
chapters.
was her entire squad.
Basically, Squad
Number
Levi
one,
wasn't any bigger.
Okay, so if her entire squad is dead now, where the hell is she?
honestly though, like Erwin just gave her the title. At first I was like, wow, Erwin, this is like really cool how Hanji now has a position of power. How is she gonna handle this? But now it's like she has no position. She's like the most worthless position of all time because there's no one to lead. Like
Well,
everyone is
She's
dead.
seemed to me more
commander
like
of
he
an
was
empty
saying.
squad.
Yeah, there's nobody.
It seemed to
Like
me like he was saying, "If I die here, you are the next commander, not you're the commander now."
no,
Boy, do you get a large inheritance.
Yeah,
honestly, wow. You mean I get to be like the number one headhunted person in the world now because I'm the leader of a squad that's or of an organization that's being destroyed,
Leader
like
of an
systematically
organization
taken
of like
out.
5 people.
Honestly, that are actively being hunted by the government. So that's even better.
Mm.
But like, so I think that she and also Erwin, where the hell is he? Like, I mean,
in
at this point,
jail.
We have a
what do we?
better idea of where Erwin is at. He's on his
Yeah,
way to a trial slash execution slash burning at the stake.
sure, sure.
Erwin's
And
doing.
then,
Hanji's fucking off somewhere. I don't know. She's like smiling at Titans. I don't know.
dude, you know what would be
Picking
awesome,
daisies.
which might happen, probably won't happen. This is theory crafting, but what if like we go back eventually to Erwin's trial, and he's like losing and everything, and everyone's against him, and then all you see is like Hanji storms in, and she like is like, I want to talk for Erwin, and then she does like this huge rant, and it's like one of those like early Armin rants that are like trying to really convincing,
Yeah,
and she has like devastating facts against the military police and like sways public opinion. That could be really cool.
I'm
You
totally
went in a
down for
completely
that.
different direction because you gave me an amazing image in my mind. I thought you were going to say she was going to storm in with an army of titans and rescue Erwin.
She's
And then
going to
I
land
just
with
imagined her riding a titan like a horse.
Maybe in someone's fan fiction somewhere.
honestly.
Get on it, Harma.
You know what though? I actually like that idea of having her give that speech, sort of like Armin, because right now I kind of buy the speech more from her than I would Armin.
For
Because
sure.
she's not
She's in
completely
a
batshit
position.
insane.
Yeah, and she's
Not
in a
only
position.
that,
Well,
but Erwin's
well, she
trial.
is, but she's less murderously batshit insane.
Erwin's trial is the perfect opportunity for Nile to become a cool guy and come into the
It's
trial and be like, "Hey, the military police are bullshit."
I actually haven't thought about that, but yeah. I mean, at
Who
that point,
has more evidence on the military police than the commander of the military
Military
police?
well,
police versus military police. Think about how that
Nile
fight would play out.
The
Nile's not gonna do
deconstruction.
that though.
He
Nile,
that he totally has the keys to begin the deconstruction of the military police from the inside.
what I'm saying though is he's not gonna flat out like hear that speech from Hanji and be like, "All right, you're completely right. Let go of Erwin immediately." He's probably gonna work
Ixis
the
was.
cogs and be like,
Nile would do it for Erwin.
"No, what he'll do is he'll be like, these are pretty good points. Let's delay the trial as we progress through these points. We work through them
But
to
it's a
see if
CMP
this can be
trial.
pushed.
Nile has no power.
He's not going to have any power.
But he has influence.
Even if he did have power, making that decision, he wouldn't want to kill Erwin. He would be pressured by the CMPs to kill Erwin.
That's
The
what I'm
lowest
saying.
ranking CMP can still have Nile executed.
Sure,
No. Well, I don't.
but
What do you mean?
it's
He's
Like,
not gonna do jack shit.
it's true. But like they won't give that decision to Nile. That would be
that's what I'm saying.
ridiculous. It'll
Well,
have to be Zackley again.
I don't.
What about
I'm not even convinced that Zachley's above the CMP.
I mean, he's supposed to be the big honcho for all three branches, so who knows where he falls in
Well,
rank compared to the
they were
CMP.
controlling Rice, so who knows how high up the rabbit hole it goes?
he could be a puppet for all we know? Because I
He
mean,
could be.
what kind of a role do you think he truly plays? I don't know.
Who
I don't.
exactly?
Well,
Yeah,
because right
He was still
now,
given the decision over whether Aaron would live or die, so I'd say he still has some real power.
the highest like rank on the totem pole is Rod Rice's people, right? Rod Rice's people, then like
I'd argue against that.
the puppet, royal family, the king, and all that crap that's not really in control. And
sure.
then Sackley's in that region somewhere. Because if they gave him the authority to rule over whether Aaron was going to go to the Survey Corps or the military police, I would think the CMPs would be pulling pretty hard on those strings to get him to the military police, right?
Well, they might be pulling pretty
Yeah,
hard on the strings to get him to go to the Survey Corps so he'd die. It's like, hey, Titan's
Yeah,
problem now.
I guess that's possible, but I don't know if you want to actually like waste a Titan shifter like that.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, they're trying to get rid of him
you
anyways.
have better uses for a Titan shifter than hoping he goes and dies to the Survey Corps. That's kind of a big risk to take, you know. So Zach, I've been cutting you off every chance I've been getting.
Yeah,
Good on you.
yeah, fuck you.
I've been trying to.
Um, I saw some people having some confusion over Marlo. Marlo's last name was Freudenberg in the anime and the previous chapters, but in this chapter it's listed as Sand. And I just want to state here that I'm pretty sure it's just another Berwick Marcel thing. It doesn't matter. People get over it.
Wasn't the Berwick and Marcel thing actually a thing where Isayama said, you know what, I just didn't like that name?
Well, I think he said he chose or he wrote Marcel by mistake in the new chapter or something, and he was like, ah, fuck it, it's his name
Well,
now.
it's like it's a typo or something.
It's his name
It's
now.
Japanese. It could be pretty easy to make typos.
How
I
could
don't.
I don't with something this popular now? I don't know how you can let something like that slip.
Let me remind you about the
Hey, I
letter
know it
that was in the
happened.
last
I
chapter.
know it happened. I'm just saying it shouldn't happen. I don't know how something like that does happen.
Let
Yeah.
me remind you about the letter.
I remember. I totally remember. So, are we ever going to see uh whatever the fuck the guy's name is, Demo for the
So,
Reeves?
oh,
Are we ever going to see his son
Lego?
again,
No, I hope not.
or is he gone forever?
Oh no.
But we had that whole scene with Hanji trying to convince Demo. No, not it's not
Lego.
Demo, Flegel. Which had Hanji trying to convince Flegel to actually take a stand to the CMPs, and I'm not sure if his response was actually supposed to be conveying a perspective, or if like right now we're giving him time to think about it and he might show up at Erwin's trial.
The way I see it, Hanji's gonna pull a Levi and say, I don't give a shit what you say, you're helping me with this.
What was didn't she try and do that anyway?
Well, she yanked him out of the alley.
And it didn't work.
It
Well, if
worked. She got him out of the alley
Well,
and onto
yeah,
the
but
roof.
the
And
only
then
way
he
I
was
could
going with her
see,
when they fled.
no, but the only way I could see Flegel playing a role is if because he could actually play a vital role now that I think about it. Because what the Survey Corps really lacks now is manpower, and Reeves' men ostensibly is more than just the group he was with. He runs an organization.
an
So,
organization of merchants though.
but they've also been proven to be thugs as well, as we've seen.
So you're just
You'd
gonna
So,
have
slap some 3D MG on him and
I
call it good?
you'd have to have a significant force if you're going to try and pit them against the CMPs because there's no rational way that they would have any fighting chance against the CMPs.
no,
Well, you
no.
could say the same about
Think about
Armin and
this.
Sasha.
No, think about this though. Number one, we're not fighting Titans. We don't need 3DMG. That makes no sense. Num Number
How
two,
else are you gonna ninja around?
you
Come
don't need
on.
it around. Number two, they're merchants, so what are they good at getting? Items. So guns, ammunition. They
T.
don't. Yeah, T's. There we go. So literally, what if Flagle walks into the courtroom and is like, "I need this man immediately." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I have the place surrounded. Like guns everywhere, people everywhere. Reeves men, let them go."
The MPs are already armed in court. We saw that at the Aaron trial.
Well,
So
wouldn't it cause a bigger scene that would spur a reaction from the CMPs and get them all killed?
no, actually, one of those like dogfights with all of not dogfights, that's the threat word, but all of the like chaos would That would be
It would be
close.
the biggest,
It
most
would be a diversion.
badass chaos fight we've
Could
seen
you
in a
imagine?
while.
They'd all be drinking tea though.
We haven't seen any fights in a while, except, well, I guess the last one count.
It would be amazing, but I like that would just fuck everything up.
Well, mind you, I'm not being serious. I was saying the only way that Flago would be serious,
Okay, yeah.
but he's not. So
Is it not possible that he could have some sort of role in Erwin's trial?
I don't know.
It's not like they're gonna deny him access. What harm
Yes,
could
they
he
will.
possibly do?
Well, what good could he do? What's he gonna say? Oh, he was my friend. Like
Well, you're
what?
not gonna deny somebody access to a public trial of a
Yes, you
person they
will.
want to
Who says
kill
it's
anyway.
who says it's public?
You're gonna deny access to a public trial for everybody.
Who says it's public?
Yeah,
And who says they're even gonna have a
but
trial? For all we know, they got Erwin in the van and shot him in the head.
but
Number
they want
one,
to make an example out of Erwin. They want to kill Erwin to send a message to the public.
right? So
I
why?
think that's too
So they
risky. They
would
wouldn't want
want
that.
people
Erwin
to
might
see that.
speak out because they know he's a powerful speaker, so they choose to silence him rather than
It doesn't.
make an
It
Yeah,
doesn't
example.
okay,
matter.
you're playing my role from last podcast, and the response to that was, why would they give him the opportunity to speak?
They won't, or maybe they will. It all.
So
It
what
all.
you're if he goes through a trial,
Why would
unless his tongue is cut out or he has a gag, he is going to speak.
and you don't think they would think to put a gag on him?
Well, how does it look for public image if you've got your guy gagged?
There are two things here that we're forgetting, or that we're not taking into consideration.
How did we switch roles, by the way?
Listen, listen.
I don't know.
One is like Zach brought up was a decent point. Like this is probably a trial to win over the public. So if they're doing this, they need the public there to witness this. They need to vilify the Scouting Legion. To do so, they can't simply silence him and then kill him because then it makes them look guilty. On the other hand, we also don't know, and we're making assumptions about how far down the rabbit hole the CMP's power is in terms of the miniature group contained in like holding technology to a hold and such because this is the group that's trying to silence the core, and they can't do that without the backup of the military police. Like we said, clearly the military police is going to be at this trial, the regular military police, the one that Niles with, the one that doesn't know anything about the fringe group. So they can't simply say, oh, we're going to silence Irwin, and then the other MPs are be like, why would you do that? Do you have something to hide? So it's going to make them look guilty as well.
I totally think they can, though. I don't. I really think like saying that they would feel guilty about it. I think implies that they care. I
No.
really don't think
Guilty.
they care.
I didn't say
There just has to be
they
a wagon accident on the way to the trial or something.
Well, if like who's gonna speak up against them? It would have
Yeah, they have guns. We don't.
really who
no.
if they silence Irwin for no particularly good reason, it would take Nile and the military police standing up against them to do something about that. Because
And even then, it might not do anything.
if the public gets upset about it, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna
That's what I'm
like
saying.
throw rocks at them?
No. Well, number one, you can't you can't be a ruler without people to rule over. You can't.
Where are
So
they gonna
Yeah, are
go?
they gonna walk outside and try and fend for themselves?
there
Fuck you, we'll
are
make our own walls.
there are so
We'll
many.
make our walls out of people.
You guys aren't. You
I'll get my
guys.
own walls with
Uh,
blackjack and hookers.
excuse me. You're.
I got
You
that reference.
Good.
you guys aren't thinking logically though. Number one, you can't possibly be like against the people you rule so openly because those people are the
When
people
you have
who
the power, you
no,
can.
no. Those people are the ones who make the crops, who grow the crops, who have the food source, who give you the tariffs and the money so that, who repaired your walls, your houses, infrastructure. You can't simply alienate these people.
You
Because
you're you're right, Scotty. You can't do this like morale wise. And the way that you would convey this to
So
the
that's North
MP,
Korea.
you have to actually have an opposing force to be able to make this message work. And at the moment, the public doesn't seem like they're organized or very well aware at all of what's really going on. You know what I
that's
Just
mean?
why
realize
that's why
it
they want to
doesn't
keep
matter
them in the dark.
how strongly against you the public is, you will still win. And I have two words to prove why.
We have guns.
Well, no, two words.
That's
That's
three
three.
words. Nice try though.
My two words are North Korea.
Oh no. No, number one, I
let's
can
let's let's back up and rephrase that differently.
North Korea, okay. The reason
God,
the
this
reason
this is
that
gonna be a
works
disaster.
the reason that works is because the
They have
population
power.
No, the population is literally brainwashed. Is number one. Number two, they put fear into their people, which I guess the military police and all them do.
I'm
So
not
that's
hearing the different
You're
part
arguing my
yet.
argument for
that's
me here.
okay. Fuck. Oh, I hate you. I
I
hate you
mean,
so.
it's basically just making it a military state, not slate.
Yeah, I guess it could work.
They're ruled by fear and oppression, and they have no one to stand up against them.
Well then, okay. So if what you're saying is true, then literally, how about we just have them kill Irwin? Like, what's the point? Why don't they just
That's
kill him?
exactly
They
what we're
might.
arguing
That's what
for.
we're saying.
I don't know. Mm,
That's exactly what we were arguing for. Is to say, yeah, okay, it's wrong to kill Irwin, and they probably know it's wrong to kill Irwin, but
But
they
who gives a
who
fuck? They don't.
cares? I
no,
don't
okay,
care.
okay,
If I'm
okay.
the corrupt evil guy, why do I care about doing the right thing in this situation?
Yeah,
Then
I make the laws. I don't care about the laws.
why does Nile give a shit then about writing in the fringe unit in the gear in the
They have more
report?
power than him. He likes his cushy position at the top of the MPs. If he
No,
says something that he shouldn't, uh-oh.
yeah, but why do the people above him care? If the public knows that they have secret weapons and secret organizations, why do they give a shit?
Because it's the CMP's job to control that.
But what is you're missing the point. Why would that matter to control it? Why would they need control over knowledge from the public knowing? Like what if the
They've already
public
Because
brainwashed him.
that's their ruling tactic. To keep the people in line, they have to be on top of that.
so what if the people went out of line? They would just kill them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, there's no reason why they wouldn't do it then.
Well, hey, what happened to Irwin's dad?
Yeah.
But you're switching the point. I'm talking about the entire public, not just fringe people.
Well,
I'm
you're
talking
you're you're saying this like you're just gonna flip a switch, and all of a sudden the entire population is gonna become aware, like they're freaking
Titan
Skynet.
mode.
no, because if you write about it, or if there's a huge courtroom drama, like, and then word gets around,
Do you know what would have happened to the Marco imposter in the chapter if he'd have pushed hard enough to get that story published about the CMPs?
it would have been killed.
Nile would have probably killed him on the spot.
Yeah, I don't. I think we're talking
No, he
about the same
wouldn't
thing.
have
I don't
because Bert would
understand.
have shifted to prevent that.
That's
That
true.
would have caused it even that would have been hype, but it would have been dumb.
Would have been
Berthold,
amazing.
why did you transform in the middle of in the city? Sorry, Reiner. I wanted to write a news report.
It would have been
uh,
hype.
We're an hour in and we haven't started the
Well,
questions.
Scotty, you were going somewhere, were you?
I mean, I think I'm talking in circles at this point. I think we agree, but it makes the entire plot so one dimension, two dimensional. If you're gonna think like,
Yeah, I mean,
okay, they can just kill anybody and there's no repercussions. It's like then
it
they'll just kill everybody.
it
There's
would
no.
it would absolutely make it
They don't want to kill everybody because then they don't have anyone to rule over. I think
it
they just.
would definitely
That's the
make the
exact point I just
CMPs
made.
more simplified. It would make them less I don't know, less interesting. But the solution to that, I think, is to not paint it in that light.
Okay, wait. Now I remember where I was going. So, like I said before, the Central Military Police or whatever, they're a fringe group of the military police. So we're like, why are we making the assumption that the military police is even corrupt? Like we know the
We
CMPs
know
are.
they are.
We know they're corrupt, though.
We know they are. The
In what
commanding officer just shoves all his work onto Marlowe day one.
I don't think
Says,
that's
you do it.
corruption. I don't think that's corruption.
We see them going back into the officer room drinking and gambling.
He told a journalist that he wasn't allowed to report on a story that he discovered.
Oh, that's
We
true.
see military police selling weapons.
I know. I've seen.
We've
I
seen
know.
the military police stifle people who are trying to invent things.
That was the CMP, wasn't it?
Are we not classifying the MPs
We're talking about the regular ones.
as the as are the freaking MPs not like a
Well,
subordinate
still,
to the
the
CMPs?
question was, how do we know the regular MPs are still corrupt?
I guess we don't.
We do. That's what I'm saying. We saw them selling
What?
weapons.
This
We
is
saw it.
chaos. I
Well,
don't know
you're
what's
you're
going.
dividing the two. You're dividing the MPs from the CMPs. I know,
No, we
Exactly.
are. They
but
have a
the
C in front of the name. The others don't. That is a difference.
but the CMPs are like the My
The harsh
fucking
ones, the bad
Scott's
words.
question
ones.
My
was,
words are failing
the
me tonight.
CMPs are so evil, how do we know the ones under them are still corrupt, and how do we know it's not just all a lie? Blah, 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 blah.
Not all a lie. I don't know what that. Number one, if you show a couple corrupt people, that doesn't necessarily mean the entire organization is corrupt. You can't just say, "Oh, people are selling guns, therefore the entire military police are
That would be
just."
true in real life, but on a show like this, you don't have the time to actually conduct the full investigation for that.
That's true. I guess that he could be trying to convey a point through two people, although I don't know. I don't like it.
It's not
But I
realistic,
guess,
but that's how it gets
It's
conveyed.
Attack on Titan. It's not going to be realistic.
all right, I guess that's a good point.
Frankly, I'm amazed they have gravity.
I like this military police though. I think there are people within the military police like Nile. Nile is the chief example of this, who has morality but is just trying to get by. He's a subordinate to the CMPs where he knows what he's doing is wrong, but he has no choice. He has to do this stuff anyway.
No
Because
And
choice,
that
huh?
includes not letting the news report.
so it's a forced corruption sort of.
Yeah, forced corruption. I don't know if I guess how corrupt because is there going to be a point where Niall's going to be
It
like
depends on how you define corrupt, I guess.
like is there a point where Niall's going to be like enough is enough. I can't do this. I this
Well,
is
that's what we were discussing earlier, isn't it?
There's gonna come a
yeah.
Is he
point.
going to switch sides?
There's gonna come a
Maybe
point where Niall has to make a decision between what I'm guessing is his family and his secure life with the MPs
The
and
woman he stole from Erwin.
doing the right thing and saving Irwin.
yep.
That's how I see that playing out. And that's where we're really gonna see how deep the corruption runs in the military police. Because whether it's actual corruption within the MPs or if it's all forced corruption. Because Niall is kind of the symbol of the MPs. If we see him doing the morally
Actually, the
correct
unicorn
thing,
is the symbol of the MPs.
whatever, you know what
It's
I mean.
true. It's true.
If we see him acting rationally, if we see him acting within what you would call a good moral compass, then we might be able to say, you know what, maybe the military police, the regular military police, isn't that bad. They're all just kind of forced by their higher ups.
That's what I was saying. But okay.
Is it?
Uh,
Is it actually what you were saying?
Essentially.
Yes! I
I,
was trying to explain this to you. Scott was saying, how do we know that the regular is corrupt if
well, we
it's.
addressed this. We said
Fuck,
that it's forced
fuck it.
corruption.
Fuck it. Let's just start the questions or whatever.
All right.
Okay, the name of the new segment is questions or whatever. Now it is question time, where we move on to questions posted by you on the subreddit.
Yay. 14 days
Yay!
ago, because we're on the ball!
Lego.
Uh,
Don't you dare quote technical difficulties this time.
technical difficulties, no, we have calendar difficulties.
Okay, anyway.
Um,
Okay, so, first question. Do you.
oh, okay, you're gonna handle it.
Did you
You're
have
gonna
one?
handle it this
There
time.
we
Okay, I
go.
see how it
Did
is.
you have one?
No, but
I'll go if you.
fine. Go!
Okay, okay. So.
Ah, go. Ah.
Alright, so the first question. Do you think Jean should have died or survived in the way he did?
I
Um,
wish he would have died, just so we could have actually had a death in this series. Is
I
it
don't
supposed to be a series about everyone dies? Oh no, it's animated Game of Thrones. No, we haven't had a single good person die
Man,
except.
is that overplayed. I totally agree that that idea needs to go away. This is not that type of show.
Yeah, we've got Marco, we've got Petra. That's it for
So,
named
so
characters,
getting back to
basically.
the question. Do you are you sticking by that you think Jean should have died?
I want his brains on the wall.
Why Jean in particular?
I don't care if it's John. I don't care if it's Connie. Hell, I
I
don't care
care.
if it's Annie. I
Okay.
just want someone to
Well,
die.
this
Damn
this
it.
is this is why I asked because I want to point out if you have a problem with that specific character, or if you're just kind of blood hungry right now.
I just
I
want
think
someone to die.
Yeah.
I wish Jean would have died, but
That's
just
why I was rooting for
because
Levi to die 2 chapters ago. That's why I was rooting for John to die this chapter. That's why I was.
the point about they build it up how Jean like oh he doesn't know who he wants to side with the military police I mean not the military police the like the Survey Corps or like just going against them
Morals.
or morals yeah thank you there was this moral dilemma between them and he didn't know how to resolve it and they always got It always got brought back up constantly. And then here it is. Here's the time when he doesn't know what to do. And what does he do? He hesitates. He fucks up. Would have been a perfect time to be like, all right, well, he fucked up. This is a harsh world. You're done. But no, this could have been one of those moments where you prove, like, oh, you have the gall to take out a main character. But, now it's like, nope. Oh, he hesitates. Everything that's been building up at this point means nothing because even when he hesitates, makes the wrong move, the right action comes out anyway.
You know what? I really like that idea. I really think that would have been a cool thing. That could have worked. At the same time, the fact that he's still alive implies that he still has some importance to the plot. Maybe he has another thing he's supposed to do, or maybe he has more character development he needs to go through. His reaction to surviving, his reaction to, man, I shouldn't have hesitated. I should have, like, I'm committed. I should be committed to this. Why am I not committed to this like I thought I was? You know, we might see more developments out of that, or maybe we won't. Maybe he should have died there.
I don't know. It's kind of like Isayama pussied out here. It's like, come on,
Well,
you're
we
the
don't
perfect
know
I
guy.
kind
that.
of agree.
We don't know that though because
Well,
we
then he
don't.
could have at least killed Sasha or someone less
He didn't
important.
have to kill anyone if there was anybody who was worthless at this point, he would have killed them. You know what I mean? I feel like he's only killing characters off who have no further relevance to anything.
And then you call them red shirts and say they were no main character, blah,
That's
blah,
right.
blah.
That's right. Like Marco at that point, he was a red shirt because he had nothing else to do in this story. So I don't think Jean's done yet. I don't think this is the kind of story anymore.
Well, to that point, you could say Aaron's a red shirt because he doesn't have much importance either.
What do you
But
mean?
he's
How could you possibly say that? Aaron's
He's a
the main.
fetch quest.
He's the main character. And so I don't. I really don't think that this is the type of show anymore where we should think, well, okay, we'll kill this character or we'll kill that character. It just doesn't seem that simple anymore. It feels like we're like character death isn't something we should expect anymore. You know, as much as we want it, and as much as it's been piped up by everyone else who wants it, that that has been consistently a thing that has not been happening.
it's pretty true.
So yeah, we still got some stuff for Jean to do, I guess.
Unfortunately. Um, Before we move on, actually, were you guys spoiled by the chapter cover for this?
Well, I mean, yeah, but
No, actually, I wasn't because I actually didn't see the cover until after I read the chapter. Thankfully.
Uh, well, apparently it was just the people that read with that website because they decided, oh, this is an epic scene, let's color it and put it right first, and we've spoiled the entire chapter. God damn it!
Yeah. So
It's
that
like Isayama didn't reveal Jean through halfway through the chapter and in a
like
dramatic way
yeah.
for a reason, and you're just gonna put it up there. Hey, guess what? Who lives?
Yeah, we freaking made such a big deal last podcast about what a cliffhanger that was, and just completely fucking threw it out the window with that. For the people who read it that way, I guess.
Just wait for
like me,
Crunchyroll, I guess.
Yeah.
Um.
was
All
ever
right. Here,
explained where Armin got the gun, by the way?
he had it.
Just had it.
Yeah, he just
Just
kind of
had it
had
just
it
in
under his
case.
coat, like he
Like,
had it.
okay,
It's a Western thing, so maybe he had
I
a
get.
little holster.
I don't even know what kind of gun that was because supposedly they only had the MP rifles,
Yeah, he
yeah,
had a 6 shooter, of course.
but now he's
yeah,
got a pistol. It's like, where the hell does that come from?
yeah.
He,
That's what I'm saying. Like, you just had it. Like, oh, I always carry on this pistol. Like, okay,
yeah, I don't seem to recall where he got it, but he had it for some reason.
All right. Are our new MP friends here to stay or just red shirts?
By
uh,
new MP friends, I assume they mean Kenny Squad.
no,
No.
they mean Marlo and Hitch.
They're not. Those aren't new friends. We've seen them before.
Well, they're not new, but they're new friends.
Yeah, that's weird.
Are Marlo and Hitch here to stay, or are they just red shirts?
They're here to stay. I think. I definitely think they're here to stay.
I think Marlo's here to stay. Hitch is there to die.
I
I
could see
kind of
that.
hope that Hitch gets to confront Annie and have a whole tearful teenage girl bitch scene. Why did you do this?
And then Annie, with no expression on her face, just literally kills her, and then just moves on.
Yes,
And
yes, yes,
next snap.
yes. I'm on board. I love it. I'm so on board with that.
Transforms just her hand and then clobbers her with one punch.
That would be a little much.
Just transform.
Like,
I don't think that.
like you can carry the emotion better if you just do it like in human form.
Next snap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
What
god.
emotion? We're talking about Annie.
Boy, would that be hype. Man, I would be so behind that. Yeah, I could see that for Hitch, but it's like I just mentioned. I'm not sure this is that show anymore where we should be expecting anyone to get killed. That's like anywhere near relevant to the plot.
This is actually a good point. Armin saved John 2 or 3 times now. Do you think that's leading up to something big, such as John saving Armin in return, or just a coincidence?
I think it's going to lead to character development for the both of them because Jean at one point was he felt
Admit their true yaoi love.
no, but God, but Jean felt confident about his decision to be a soldier after a while. He felt like he was committed. He felt like he could overcome the indecisiveness he had about leaving that cushy, secure life behind. And now with this realization that, man, maybe I'm not totally up to this. Maybe I'm not as cracked up to murdering people as I thought I was. Now,
Still, it's kind of interesting that the person to pick him up is always Armin. Just
and yeah, now that he doubts
John against Annie, nope,
himself,
Armin. John against random Titan thrown at him by Reiner, nope, Armin. John against random bitch that tries to kill him, nope, Armin.
now that he doubts himself, and now that he's been through this experience, he has to grow from it. He has to become stronger, and this is the perfect opportunity for him to demonstrate how he's learned from this by
Doesn't
saving
have
Armin.
to.
Doesn't have to what?
Doesn't have to grow up from this. He could just go crazy.
He could. Yeah, fine. That's you could do that too. So Armin. Yeah, this totally fits for Armin because we've been. What have we been talking about this entire podcast? We've been talking about how Armin's going nuts. He's losing his innocence. He's becoming more sadistic. He's slowly but surely becoming more of an Irwin type character. This would
Yeah.
totally make sense for him.
Yeah, for him it makes sense because it grows up like now he had to get the balls because
He lost it.
John was just like not there. He was just like I can't do it anymore, so he's gonna die. And then Erwin had to step up to the plate, and then Levi just reaffirms this notion by saying, you know, what you did, you're cold-hearted now, but you need to be in order to survive. Is essentially what he said.
Hmm.
So hopefully Armin gets that through his thick skull, and he, doesn't
Because if anyone
cry
has a
in
thick
court.
skull, it's Armin, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Well, he's got thick hair, Mr. Aryan Coconut.
Yeah, if we're talking, well, I was gonna make a Connie joke, but I don't think I'm gonna go there. I'll spare you this time. So let me call attention to the fact that this question thread has nothing from Mikasa, because Mikasa is basically.
Actually, it does have something for Mikasa.
Does it? Where does it have
Yeah.
something for Mikasa?
Read it.
Why on earth would Levi choose Mikasa to infiltrate the MP headquarters as the last human of visible Asian descent? Wouldn't she be very memorable and stand out?
Like
So
I
suck it,
remember
Stiller.
Where's this?
there.
But
I want to
we
read
have
it.
a better question to get to that or to get to first. It's the best question on the planet. Scott, you're gonna love this one, and you're the perfect one to answer this.
I know. I already know the question.
What is it?
Drum
Is
roll,
it?
please.
Is it about like who will Connie's disguise be next?
Yes, actually. What disguise will
Yeah.
Connie use next?
Oh, fuck
Um.
this question.
So what his disguise will be next is he will transform into Monkey Trouble and infiltrate the base and save.
How does Monkey Trouble infiltrate anything?
He's
Sneakily.
very stealthy. He has camo.
He couldn't infiltrate a
He
waterfall
he made
What does
large.
that even mean, Stiller?
because
I
there
don't
are
think
things.
anyone can infiltrate a
What are you
waterfall.
talking about? There are things behind waterfalls. Are you
Not
crazy?
if you're in a
Doesn't
video
matter.
game, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
once
exactly
there
what I'm
was an
talking
Egyptian
about.
mummy found behind Niagara Falls, so what?
This is a. Oh God. Okay, this joke is
There's
lost.
someone stole a mummy from Egypt and stashed it behind Niagara Falls.
Anyway,
I mean, if you want to infiltrate a sandbox, I guess. Like that's
what?
equivalent. That's equivalent to saying infiltrate a waterfall.
He couldn't
Infiltrate a
okay.
waterfall. Hey guys, come here, get on this airplane with me. We're gonna go infiltrate a cloud.
You make it sound like it's ridiculous, but how many
It
times?
is.
Because how many times have you seen in fiction, like shit behind waterfalls?
It
Yeah,
doesn't mean
but this
infiltrate a waterfall.
Is
that's
this
true.
not a work of fiction?
Infiltrate is like
In
to sneak into and blend in with. A waterfall is a screen of water.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. He can't infiltrate it because he's so obvious.
it's
No
see-through,
one can
Stiller.
though. So
No
you're
one can infiltrate a waterfall.
except maybe a water droplet.
It's not. Oh my god.
This was a
This is
bad analogy to begin with.
that.
Very.
It was pretty bad. But
Like
I
I don't back down from that one, but It wasn't the right one to go with, I don't think.
Definitely was.
Monkey Trouble couldn't infiltrate a waterfall.
Damn, so you got him there. Couldn't do that.
I'm gonna stand by that one.
Well, that's you're standing by a complete disaster.
It's fine. I'm totally fine with that.
Don't just let the captain go down with the ship.
I will. Where were we?
So he's gonna become Monkey Trouble. He's gonna infiltrate because he crafted, like Bear Grylls, these large camouflage for
Like
Monkey
Bear Grylls,
Trouble's
I thought he
size
was
person.
Bear Grylls.
No, you can't be somebody unless you are that person. He's clearly just Connie. But
It's just in, he's just Connie, nothing special about him.
Oh,
just Connie.
just
And,
Connie.
and then,
The new hit TV show coming to ABC
all right,
Family.
no, I'm done then. I'm done. I hate you all. I'm done. I'm outie.
I feel I feel
I'm
like
Annie. What about you?
I feel like Connie's next disguise is he's gonna paint himself up to camouflage against like a castle wall,
Maybe that would be. Oh man, that'd be
so
so
that
cool.
he could blend
That
in against like
He's
like
probably
a
just gonna
door.
stand in front of a rock and call it a disguise.
I could see him doing that. I could
dude,
Connie, what
his
the
totally.
hell are you doing?
disguise was
I'm being
good.
stealthy. Connie, they can see you. No, they can't.
I'm caught in a dream snake eater.
No,
Anyway,
any four.
so do we have any questions about geography?
Yes.
We should.
Hey, hey,
Although
I
I was gonna
have
skip it
questions
because
about
it's kind
geography.
of a generally accepted theory. I have this theory that the mysterious girl that Aaron and Historia keep seeing in their dreams could have been the person who had the coordinates power before Aaron. What do you think? Yes.
Number one, where did this come from? Since we had heard nothing from her in this chapter. Like, I have
It came from the question thread.
questions about the chapter though, right?
It came from the question thread.
It's yeah, literally. It's in the question thread. It says, "I have this theory that the mysterious girl that Aaron and Astoria keep seeing in their
I know.
dreams
I'm
could
not saying
have been the
the
person."
validity of whether the question exists. I'm saying the validity, like, why is that question in this thread?
Well, no, I don't want to
What?
something. I
Why
mean,
would we
I guess
not?
I think we did say it once that the questions could be about anything. I don't know.
Yeah, we
But just
field
fucking
we.
answer.
Yeah, we go on tangents all the time. Why would we not field
We're
this
on one
question?
right now.
Yeah, why would we not field this question?
I mean, I think we've already discussed this question to
Someone
death.
could have come into the thread and
The answer
asked
is
us
yes.
like,
Next question.
someone could have asked us what kind of bacon we liked, and we should have answered it.
It's
All
gonna be
right,
good.
so next question. When do you think RBAY will be back to save slash mess slash change slash ruin the day?
I hope soon.
I hope soon. The sooner the
I
better.
I don't know what exactly they're trying to do. I think the current objective is to go back to the main city, whatever that is,
Hometown.
hometown, and then they have to.
I was born in a small
Shut
town.
up.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. We don't know if it's small, by the way. It could be huge.
Could
It could be like
be.
an underground cavern.
We don't know.
You don't know, man.
I don't know. Maybe they all sleep in crystals.
Highly doubtful. Highly
She wasn't
doubtful.
protecting herself. She just got tired.
She just went to sleep.
She's just like, come out of here. Good night.
That's
Oh,
This
fuck
that's
is.
you,
that's
Aaron. I'm
kind
taking
of
a nap.
awesome though.
Oh
I
man.
still like that idea.
She
Anyway,
was sleeping for a long time.
any, she was tired. She had a long night.
Yeah, come on.
Long ass night.
Yeah. Anyway,
You know,
anyway.
Hitch is a loud snorer, so she has to sleep as much as she can whenever possible.
See, it's true. Anyway, um, save. I'm gonna predict they save the day when they return. Specifically Annie, because I don't think Reiner, Berthold, or
It's
Ymir
gonna take
are gonna be back soon.
at least a chapter to convince any of them to work on the side of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When
So
I
it's
say
not gonna be
soon,
right away save the day. It's gonna be fuck shit up.
yeah, I don't
And
mean right away.
eventually,
I mean
maybe.
soon, like 64, 65, 66.
It's a bold prediction, Cheddar. Let's see if it pays off.
I don't think that Reiner, Bertold, and Annie are going to show up all at once. I think it's
They
They
can't.
either.
can't. They
Yes.
can't.
No,
Because
I'm
Reiner and Ymir and Berthold are all way the fuck over there.
exact.
Well, Reiner and Ymir are.
Yeah, but we don't
Berthold,
know.
you fuck off with the reporter and Berthold thing. Come on.
It's
We
the
don't
new
know how
Marco.
far. I don't know why you say that though, because like we don't know how
Yeah, we saw they were in
long
Shiga and
it's
Shinnok.
been.
They could have just turned around and pussyfooted right back to Sheena.
Not.
Or they could have left and gone home. Who knows?
They could have
I'm just.
sprouted wings and flew away.
It's always true.
It's not true. I don't think that.
In this
I don't think
anime,
that's
You
a
don't
it's
think
valid
that's
true.
statement.
true, huh? You don't think that's possible?
I don't think so.
In
They're not
this
eliminated.
series, it
No.
is possible.
Well, if Marco's still alive.
Oh, God damn it.
Yes! Mission accomplished. Alright, so to finish this question, what's
Do we even start it? Like what?
we did. When do you think they will save the day or whatever?
Oh,
Said
sure, sure.
64, so that's an answer.
I wanted to take the second half of this question, which was, do you think it's actually going to be to save the day? Do you think it's going to be ruin the day?
You said save, so
I said save. What did you say?
I said ruin then save.
Okay, Scotty.
Uh, I'm trying to think what their purpose would be for coming back. Probably to get Aaron
And
and
Annie.
just
And
and
Annie.
just yeah. Well, I don't know if there's so much. I think they
Bert's
don't.
head over heels in love with her.
Yeah,
Plus, Armin tortured him.
but they're not stupid. I don't think they'd go.
Sure
Number
about that?
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna know necessarily where exactly she is, or even if she moved or not. And number two, they're not gonna like go on a headhunt searching for her.
Well, Ymir already knew that the humanity was about to run into some sort of internal conflict, so she might be thinking this is the
She did what now?
this is the perfect time for them to get some information and to try and infiltrate
Infiltration.
information to infiltrate.
The waterfall that is Sheena.
The waterfall
Yeah,
that
yeah, totally.
beautiful,
Behind the waterfall in
beautiful,
Cena,
Zach. I like it.
behind that
Oh,
waterfall in Cena is the secret location to the cave where Annie
yes.
is. We've fucking solved the mystery.
We went full circle with that shit.
Yes, we did.
Oh my god, what's going on?
We killed it on that one.
We had a good thing going, Zach, and then here you go.
I was quoting that instance with Ymir where she said, "You don't know what hell is about to become inside these walls." Ymir, when Ymir said that, she knew at the time that there was going to be some sort of internal conflict coming through to humanity, whether she actually knew it was because of the corruption in the MPs or whatever. She somehow knew there was going to be some kind of civil war. So if she already has
I
this
don't
sort
buy
of
it.
insider
I don't buy that
knowledge,
once. I don't buy that one
she
bit.
hasn't. She somehow has insider knowledge.
I
I
don't
don't.
know.
I don't
I
buy
mean,
that.
I kind of feel that's true in the sense because that was like prophetic the way she said.
Yeah, like 30 chapters, 20
Yeah, the
chapters.
hell the world inside the walls is about to be after Reiner and Berthold kick them down.
That's not even what
Or
they were
after
doing at the
Monkey
time.
Trouble
They
rips it
were
up. And
trying to leave from the walls when she said that.
yeah, I know. They're going to the village,
Yeah,
and then
which
they're
is
gonna
not
come
in the
back.
direction that they could kick the walls in.
They're well, technically they're headed towards one wall, but no, they'd go to the village, they'd pick up the people, they'd drop off Ymir, and they'd come on back.
You make it sound like a fucking taxi route.
Pick up the people, open the church, and here are what is
Armored
that?
Titan Incorporated.
The meter for that was
One eight
750.
hundred Grim Reminder.
Here is the church, and here's the steeple. Open it up. Here are the people.
So someone should patent 1-800 Grim Reminder.
I've got a shirt that says that.
Do you?
Titan Demolition Corps. No wall too tall, we smash them all. One eight
Hell
hundred Grim
yeah,
Reminder.
that is an awesome shirt. Pretty radical. All right. So next question. Are we ready for the next question? Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Yep.
Do you think that John will do something crazy to try and prove his resolve? I.e.,
He already has.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he
I
has.
thought he was going to flat out murder Hitch and Marlowe.
I don't think that would prove his resolve at all. I think it would prove his sanity is being tossed in the
Gone.
gutter. But
This is kind of what you were referring to early in the podcast, Scott, where you were kind of questioning whether Sean kind of went nuts after this incident and was actually going to kill Hitch and Marlowe instead of it just being a, oh, I was just testing you type of thing.
Well, I think what he was saying was it doesn't seem like that was just truly acting. It was more that he is actually losing his
So
marbles.
what the question is asking now is if Jean is going to take it to the next step and actually go crazy. Scott, did you have an answer to that question?
I think,
Did you give it already? I'm not sure.
yeah, I think that it wasn't fully acting. There was a portion he was acting, and I don't think he had any intention of fully killing them, maybe injuring them. But I mean, he's still sane at this point, but he's on his way to lose his marbles. So we may see that. But I mean, at the same time, I don't know where they're gonna fit that in, that subplot,
Yeah,
with
this
all of this
question
shit going on.
this question totally
Well,
provokes
they're
some.
still fitting in the Armin subplot, so they'll
Yeah,
just shoehorn it in somehow.
this question is provoking some possible character development for him, and that'll be good.
Or, well, literal
or yeah.
development.
Do you, do
Uh,
you, you call it development? I kind of still see it as development because you're like developing him in the negative way.
Yeah, so development.
Yeah, but it's a term thing. We don't have to talk about terms.
That's
Will Armin go too far in dirtying his hands, or will he find a happy medium?
Armin
no,
seems like a clean freak, I doubt it.
I don't think he's gone too far, even to this point. Like he just he killed someone who was trying to kill his comrade. Is that really dirty in your hands? I know that Levi said it was, but I don't personally think that's dirty in your hands. It's just war.
That's more you disagreeing with Levi then.
Yeah, that really came across as who gives a shit what Levi says.
It really did.
Exactly, though. That's how I meant it. So if you want to rephrase the
I could,
question,
I don't think Armin likes the path he's going down one bit because he's vomiting outside and stuff.
and
So
he got no help from Mikasa.
she rubbed his back.
it's true.
Boy, that did a lot of fucking good, didn't it?
Would he prefer she rubbed something else?
Well, he asked her a question, and she just
That reminds me. That was another one of my notes. He asked Mikasa, "Did this happen to you too?" Which kind of implies that he knows about what happened with the slavers, and I just kind
Yeah,
of found that kind of surprising.
I could see them doing a flashback to show that happening, where she tells him or Aaron tells him or something like that.
So it seems like the kind of traumatic event that they'd both say this never happened.
But this note is just the opportunity for me to shit on Mikasa. So you could basically fill it in with whatever you assume I'm gonna say, because it's probably true.
That happens.
No, she wasn't. No, she didn't go through that. She was born that way because reasons. Not a question. But I want Armin to come across Annie if he goes with Marlo and Hitch as a hostage, or just for Annie to wake up. I'm right there with you, Captain Stretchy. I also hope that happens.
That's kind of
yeah,
I hope something like that happens. I'm fine with
maybe.
that. Next question. Why does Isayama toy with our brains and emotions?
because
That's
he's a writer.
That's a question, yeah.
Because he's a
that's
writer.
it's true.
He's trying to do his job effectively. Let's see. Is anyone dying in this arc? Say the next 5 chapters. Who and how?
Someone's dying. Don't know who.
Hitch.
Maybe Jean. Maybe one of the side characters. I hate to say Connie or Sasha. Maybe.
Man,
Um.
please.
Mm-hmm.
Isayama,
If Connie
please.
dies,
And
Stiller, can we kick
please.
Scotty off the podcast?
Never.
I'll have to chase.
This
I'll have
podcast is
to.
in hardcore mode. You choose a character, and if they die, you're out.
Hey,
Not
I'm in the
pick
perfect
Aaron.
position then because
I'm gonna.
he might not come back.
Did I say Connie was a favorite character? I thought it was Aaron. All right, boom, safe forever.
Right, I'll just Photoshop some hair on that Connie image I have, and then we'll
Oh
call it
yeah,
good.
do it.
All right, so yeah, this question is basically just our regular monthly. Who's gonna die and how soon?
I'm gonna
Hitch.
put it on. My money is going to be on Erwin, and he is going to die by trial. Essentially, he's gonna sacrifice himself. I lock
So
it in.
next 5 chapters, I'm going to say no one of any importance.
So
Well,
just like the
oh,
previous 59.
can't
Yes.
say that. That is such a
What do you mean
that's
I can't say that?
that
Opt
is such a
out.
broad answer. Yeah, exactly. Oh, so someone who's 5 between 5 foot and 8 feet tall and
So what you're saying is we're ruling out Levi.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly it. Good job, Zach. You nailed
yeah.
that one.
Sorry, Sarah.
All right. So if I have to actually pick, I don't want to say Irwin and I don't want to say Levi because that's too obvious.
Are we not going with the complete obvious one though?
I'm gonna have to go with.
Completely obvious.
I'm gonna have to go with Connie.
Don't do it though.
I'm gonna go with Connie.
Don't do.
Connie.
I don't. I didn't hear that.
Five
I don't
chapters
understand.
from now.
Actually, now that I think about it, I do remember that they mentioned once that ghillie suits are like honey to titans.
That's
Did
funny.
Like
did
ghillie
they?
suits are to titan as honey is to bear.
When did they say that?
They didn't
They
say that.
didn't. That's the joke.
Oh, fucking. I don't know.
Why would they say that? It's like,
I don't know. I don't remember that shit. It could have
they
been.
also said, whatever you do, don't hide behind waterfalls because you can't do it.
Awesome. I have my own running joke now. Great. That's my favorite thing to know. All right. Zach, what about you? Who's your
Hitch.
obvious Hitch? Okay.
Oh, that was a good one, actually. Shit, I changed mine to Hitch.
I've said Hitch like 20
It's too
times.
So
bad
I'm not allowed to have a cop out, but you can change your answer, huh?
because he gave me a good thought process. I believe
And
it's Hitch.
that's totally fair as
Here's a
opposed to
good
my
thought
thing.
process.
Okay.
Hitch.
There we go. See, I just heard it.
All
Did
right.
anyone else hear that? It was Hitch. All right.
Do you think the recent mentions of Annie means she might make an appearance soon?
Hopefully not.
If so,
I
how do
think
you
we've already covered this question.
if so, how do you think her return will play out? Do the latter half of that.
She's gonna fly in with an eagle,
She's gonna fly
and
anywhere. She's coming out of the crystal.
she's already emerged from the crystal. She's been a puppeteer for the government,
She's the
and
one controlling Kenny.
she's controlling Kenny. She's controlling everybody, and she's actually monkey trouble as well. She has two Titan forms.
She has
She
two
shifts.
Titan
She
forms.
it's like Super Saiyan. Like when it's a full moon, she
She
turns into monkey trouble.
the Uzaru, whatever the hell the name of that is.
Actually, I thought something like that could have been possible a while ago because of some weird translation. I got it in my head that basically Aaron could pick a Titan based on the situation because of how they explained the how his arm came and stopped the cannonball.
Hmm.
So I just kept on thinking like, why the fuck doesn't he just turn into a colossal Titan and kick everyone or something?
Just kick everyone.
Just kick
Just kidding.
everyone.
All right, so Zach, what is your interpretation of how her return is going to play out?
Okay, well, clearly mine wasn't serious, by the way. Like,
Well, I
because
mean, you could take another.
Really?
you just know because
You could take another
You
turn if you want
don't
it.
you
say.
you you skipped over me like as if mine was like, oh,
You
that's what he
gave an
thinks. Keep
answer.
going.
I have no idea
Yeah,
if that's your
technically you
real
got your
answer.
words quota in,
Clearly not.
so
Clearly not. I think she's gonna return by, I guess, one breaking her out, or a
we already
better
tried that.
answer. A better answer would be, or not a better answer, but a better theory in my mind would be that just because the Survey Corps were the last people to have her, and they're all disorganized, dead, hunted down. So now there's no one essentially guarding her. Maybe that means the military police have to transfer her to a different location,
Unless they
and
already used her.
in that transfer, she like,
We get another cargo transfer fight like we did before.
well, the problem is they can't tie her up because she's a crystal. So if she decrystallized, she wouldn't have be wrapped up at all. So she could just transform and just stomp on everybody.
Okay.
I still say she's probably dead inside that crystal. I mean,
Damn.
Yeah, I think
she can't
Zach's
breathe, she
just.
can't eat, she can't sleep, she's sleeping. She can't
It's.
drink, she can't poop. What the hell?
Are you familiar with cryostasis?
You mean the fact that it's completely impossible due to the fact that the
Are you
water
are
freezing
you
into ice expands and causes massive cell
are
damage?
you familiar that this isn't a story based the real world?
Wait, what?
Are you familiar that this isn't a story based in the real world where cryostasis can happen?
That takes technology, Stellar. I think we've covered they don't have
They're
technology.
the shifter people. They
They have
have whatever the hell they
waterfalls.
want.
They have waterfalls
Yeah.
and
Overusing it.
condensed.
You're overusing the joke. How
I
dare you?
know.
That's fine though, because that means it'll be dead by the time the next podcast gets here.
No, well, I'll bring it up.
So
So what you're saying is save it for the podcast?
save it for the next podcast. Um, what I want to call attention to is the idea with this question that everyone's first reaction is to say she's gonna do this, she's gonna do that, she's gonna fly away. She comes out of the crystal. Is she not gonna be like super exhausted and like dehydrated
Because
and
she can't
just
eat, she can't
totally in
sleep.
not in any condition to do anything hardly?
I don't
She
know.
should be super worn out and she should be super like drained because she should have just transferred from that moment where she got sealed in after fighting Aaron to whatever scene she returns into. She shouldn't be in a real condition to do anything.
For all you know,
Is that
Stiller,
tear still
that
on her
crystal,
face?
It
that
could be.
that crystal could have been like a healing process. For all you know.
It's her hyperbolic time chamber. Totally.
Yeah. There we
She's gonna
go.
come out and be the most
Back
badass ever.
back to the Saiyan theory.
Yep. So what I think is gonna happen is she's gonna come out of the crystal and she's gonna need support to escape. So she's gonna have to go with somebody. And
She
what
doesn't
plays
need
out from
this.
there could I fucking you could write any number of fan fictions about where it goes from there. All right. So, why on earth would Levi choose Mikasa to infiltrate the MP headquarters? I like this one because this is an obvious question. Why would he choose Mikasa? Because who the hell else is capable enough to do this?
You mean who's Mary Sue enough?
Yes.
I'm surprised you didn't just outright say it.
Well, that's what I was getting at, so fine. That's totally right.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this? Or is
OP
this as
Mikasa is
obvious as I
OP.
thought it was?
I think it's just
Yeah.
not widely known that she's the only Asian. I mean, I don't think anyone else knows that there are a such thing as non-white people.
Scott,
What?
save us. Save us, Scott.
No, I mean it's like you said, it's pretty obvious. Mikasa's OP because she's Mikasa. So who do you need when you want to infiltrate a base? The most able-bodied person who has muscles and abs and fucking
Except for
She-Hulk. Like
Yeah,
that's who she is. So you
pretty
bring
much.
her to the party. That's what you do.
It might as well be.
So
But, I mean, considering all we've talked about Connie and his ghillie suit and all this bullshit, it should really be him.
I
they
mean, it
are
should be.
sending him.
Yeah, but he's not going to be the one who gets shit done. She's
Oh
going to be
yes,
the
he
one who
is.
gets.
Yes, he is.
Mikasa's the only one who
Oh
can
no,
do anything.
What
Mikasa's
about
gonna
Levi?
be in so
He's
much.
better than Mikasa.
Is he anymore? Has she not? Has she not outshined him by now?
No,
He doesn't
she
have
has.
feelings. She does. That's a weakness.
Isn't it the other way around? Isn't it that he has feelings that she
He
doesn't?
doesn't have feelings. All she has inside is Eren, Eren, Eren.
That's a feeling. That's
Yes.
a pretty strong feeling too, actually.
Yeah, so she does have feelings.
Exploit that, and Mikasa is nothing.
So, next
Levi
question.
doesn't have anything.
So, what are your thoughts on the girl, or on the killed girl who
We already did.
hesitated?
Oh, Kid Girl.
Yeah,
Girl.
the
Yeah, yeah.
girl who was going to kill Jean but hesitated. What do we think about her?
I don't think anything of her.
The
What does
one that the character chart referred to, I think, as not any.
No, that was the
Or was that the
girl that
other
was
girl?
talking to Kenny. That was the one talking to Kenny.
Yeah, not any.
Captain, did you finally die?
So weird. So weird. So, what do we think about
Mostly got the same
the
nose.
girl who hesitated?
She's just a girl who hesitated.
That
Yeah,
it?
Yeah, basically.
That
sure.
I mean, this person says that they think she already knew John somehow, but
which would be why she hesitated. Was the
then
idea.
It's
John would have
possible.
mentioned that or something. I
He
don't know.
might not have with the gun sticking in his face.
Well, he mentioned it later or something. Like, I knew that girl.
If he was going to mention it later, shouldn't he have mentioned it by now?
Exactly.
Which means that this is a non-issue.
Exactly.
That's kind of it.
Okay.
Why is Connie such a master of
We.
camouflage?
Oh,
We answered them.
No, no, no.
is it not the same?
We asked, what will Connie disguise as next?
Oh, okay. So let's tackle this one. Why is Connie such a master of camouflage?
He learned
Well,
from the master waterfall.
you see, Zach, you're
No, Scott, it's fine. Let him
you're
kill the
doing
joke.
a
Let him kill the
disservice.
joke.
You don't. You have to. A joke has to be maintained. It has to be watered. It's like a good fertile plant. You
You,
It
gotta.
has to be watered,
You
huh?
gotta do work on it.
you
You
gotta
can't.
pick your spots, man.
If you just completely have too much sunlight on it, it'll eventually just die. You
You,
gotta. You can't. You can't expose it too much. You gotta keep it in the shade.
the only times
Water
you're ever
cycle.
the only time you're ever gonna get a real stinger out of it is if you let it fade and then bring
Yeah,
it back at the right moment.
that's what you gotta do.
You
See?
gotta pick your frickin' moments.
I know,
If
but
Marco's
I don't
still
care.
alive, okay, what do you think Levi and the gang will run into at the NPHQ if they show that?
Okay, wait. This was just announced. They're making an OVA on A Choice of No Regrets.
That's not the August OVA,
No, it's
please.
coming out December.
Okay, good. Eh,
Well, for one, that means it's canon.
eh. I'm not a Levi fan. I don't care that much.
Yeah.
I'm not glad.
I'm
It's
not
still
too.
exciting.
Is
Oh,
it? Is it though? Because
tell me
our Levi fan isn't here to get excited about that.
Call me a
about that
surrogate then.
that Connie OVA, and then let me know.
Yeah,
Connie's gonna have a part in this next one.
isn't
No,
like the first half of the fucking John OVA the Connie OVA?
I just need an OVA that's of him making the suit and of
Okay.
him making the disguises.
Making the hat. That's gonna be a 10-second OVA.
No, it's not. No, it's not. There's a story behind it. He went
Okay.
into the woods. He saw some shit. He did some shit.
He saw some shit. Okay.
And then he picked 4 sticks up and stuck them in a hat and said,
He put the shit in the hat and he said, "I'm still in a dream, Snake Eater."
He had his rendezvous with Kenny. He talked some shit out. He said everything's going to according to plan. They think I'm an idiot. but in actuality, I'm like a master assassin. Could take them all out eventually if I
He
the
was given
opportunity.
a super secret infiltration mission.
All right, all right. So, what do you think Levi and the gang are gonna run into at the MPHQ if they show that?
Huh.
Are they gonna
Interesting.
run into like a bunch of dudes? Are they gonna have like a troll monster they gotta fight? Is it gonna be like
What? What? Excuse me?
It's the
Run that one
Troll
back.
Titan. Haven't you heard about it?
What?
He's already got
What?
his own theme song and
Well,
everything.
this is why I say this. This is why I say this. It's because we don't like this is how the question is phrased. What could it be?
I think a more interesting question is how are they gonna pursue
Well,
infiltrating
then
this
you
area?
should have put that in the questions thread.
I'm gonna put my own.
Not to say you asked a bad question, Westy 9398.
I'm sorry to. I'm reworking the question because I think what you meant, Wesley. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Westy.
Wesley, whatever the fuck. Okay.
Can't even get his name right. So
I don't.
disrespectful.
All right.
Where do you? Well, let me ask the question again so you can try and get it off of that. What do you think Levi and the gang will run into at the MPHQ if they show that?
Kenny.
Kenny, that's a possibility. I highly doubt it though.
I mean, didn't
Um,
they basically straight up say that's where Aaron and Historia are?
did they?
Probably.
Levi basically said, "That's where they are. Let's get them."
And
Really?
Levi, his goal was basically to go there to provoke a fight, right?
I
This
think
time.
that's such a. You can't approach that situation though with guns a-blazing because if Kenny is their number one, which means that Historia and Aaron are also there, that assumes that there's going to be so much security for all of those people. So you can't just go in there like, all right, well, time to fuck shit up.
He's Levi. Yes, he
It's
can.
Levi
No,
and Mikasa are leading the charge. What are you
no,
saying?
no, you can't. I don't think even Isayama's that brainwashed where he's like they're the best in the world. They can do anything. Like so, I think a a decent question to ask is how are they going to actually infiltrate the area? So I
First, they
think
disguise themselves as a waterfall.
yeah, no,
You
still no, Zach, still no.
Still,
saw that coming. You gotta
First,
admit it.
first
it's getting
they
better.
get they get Connie to make the suits, the ghillie suits, because he's a pro.
This is
Then
your new waterfall, isn't it?
this may be, I don't know. So Kai's gonna make the suits, haha, joke, and then, I guess they're gonna have to infiltrate, probably with the help of Marlo and Hitch. Like maybe they go in, and
Oh, what if it's a thing where Marlo and Hitch like pretend that they caught them and try and lead them into the headquarters that way?
See, it's an
could be.
idea, but that was the whole thing Levi was saying about how they can't trust them with that.
That's
And
true.
But isn't that what John tested them for?
but
Hmm?
John isn't Levi. Levi wasn't there.
But isn't
That
Levi the one who put him up to that though?
no, he said take care of him.
Eh,
But also at the final scene, everyone's there except Marlo and Hitch. So
yeah, okay. I don't. Yeah, I'll take your word for that.
I guess that ends the.
That's what the fuck? Did we answer the question?
I think we did.
sure.
All right, fine. If they show what's going on with Erwin and Hanji, what are your predictions for that? We touched that one. Or if we cut back to Aaron and Historia, what do you think Rod Rice has to say? What's really going to happen is he's going to try and paint his perspective on how he's created this scenario we're in, and he's going to paint it in the way that makes him look like the good guy,
Yeah, for
Unless he
sure.
actually is the good guy, like some people have been saying.
which would be interesting. I would.
I don't think so. Unless he's a pawn and he's just like a figurehead. But we
I'm
I've
never.
I'm sick of
always
pawns.
said he does not have true power, or else he would not have had to whisk Historia away
I think
and
we
kill
need less
Monterosa.
pawns. We need less pawns and more people who are partnered with each other.
Yeah, we need more. Yeah, I agree.
All right, so that was that.
That was that. That was
So,
very.
what other thoughts do we have on this chapter? What are your okay? What are your predictions for chapter 60?
I
They're
think
gonna.
that. What are you gonna say, Zach?
I was just gonna say they're gonna bust in and surprise Kenny counter guest Levi
Again.
again.
Ooh, that
It's like
sounds
Levi's.
so.
The last words of the chapter are, "This time we strike first." Pretty sure that's not gonna happen, Levi.
Man, if he gets countered by Kenny again, that's just gonna be the most fucking boring, bland thing ever.
I
Yeah.
disagree because then we get more Kenny.
Eh. Why do you like Kenny so much?
Because bam bam, here's Mr. MP to kill all the bad guys.
That's it, huh? That's the
I
entire
don't
bit.
know.
Very
I don't
simple
know.
person with very simple
He's got
needs.
the
How's that?
awesome 3D MG. He's a serial killer turned police officer, and he's also an Ackerman.
Okay.
Which we don't know what that means yet.
So what was your prediction, Scotty?
My prediction is they're gonna sneak in there because I don't think they're gonna go guns blazing.
They don't have
And
guns. Guns
you know
blazing.
what I mean. You know what I mean. And then they're going to probably towards the end of the chapter reach the area where Aaron and Historia are located, and then there's gonna be like a confrontation that's foreshadowed for the next 61. I think that's what's gonna happen.
I'm gonna
So what say?
say I'm gonna say we won't get any Annie for another couple chapters because
Probably a safe prediction.
I think it's too soon after this tease for us to get to Annie, and there's so much we need to do before we get to Annie, considering Aaron and Historia and that situation with them, and what sort of resistance they might run into once they get to the MP headquarters, sort of what Scotty said. So for the next chapter, I'm expecting mild action scenes, uh, very little dialogue, and some setup for 61 that would involve post rescue of Aaron and Historia.
Assuming they
Also,
got rescued,
also we're also all assuming
Yeah, sort of, I guess, set up for Aaron and Historia rescue or post, depending on how fast he decides to move.
and assuming they're actually in the building.
Yeah.
we're all taking into consider like we're all taking for granted though that the next chapter is gonna follow directly them and their peril, what they're doing
Yeah,
now.
I guess that's true.
Yeah,
We
there's
could
a thread about
shift.
that earlier, actually saying, "Who do you think this next chapter will be on? Will it be RBAY? Ha! Will it be Irwin? Will it be Hanji and Aaron and Historia? Will it be Levi and friends? What will it be?
But
That's
if we change perspective, who are we going to change to?
Probably Hanji.
Probably Hanji.
I hope Hanji or Irwin. That would be amazing. I want to see that.
I'm for that, or I'm for Reiner and Berthold Ymir.
Oh
Well,
well,
I mean, yeah, but
I would
that's
be for that too, but that's such a
I think everyone would, but that
yeah.
that doesn't even count.
It should
Like
count.
they're not those aren't characters in this manga anymore still or
What
just
do you mean?
no.
What?
What the hell does that mean? They're
They're
not.
just they're gone. They're gone, buddy.
No, I think you
They're
run a little deep.
gone.
I think you're
I
insane.
think you're crazy. I think
I mean, they'll be
we've.
back sometime in the far future, but I don't think they're going to come into play anytime
This
soon.
must have carried on too long. I think your brain's fried.
I am getting somewhat fried, yes,
So, with that in mind, I think we've covered everything that we were aiming to cover in this chapter. I think we've
and more
exhausted
Played some.
our. I think we've exhausted our
words.
words. We're kind of fried because this
There
one's
we
gone
go.
on a little longer than we anticipated. So I hope everybody enjoyed this edition of A Cast on Titan. And any final words, guys?
Um,
Um, I don't know. I
see
think
you
this was a
next
good
time.
chapter, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter.
Well,
Jack,
that's a given.
say that again.
I said that's a given that we're looking forward to the next chapter.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
fuck you
yeah,
too, Zach. Like, I mean,
absolutely. So we'll see you guys later.
all right,
Bye.
see
Bye.
ya. Adios.
Da na na
Twinsies.
na 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 na.